Fujimoto is truly cooking with the recent chapter of Chainsaw Man, so let's get into it and break down some of these really insane findings in this chapter of Chainsaw Man. So to start off, the sword guy immediately tells Denji basically like, hey, I was the guy controlled by Makima and I fought you, remember bro? And Denji's like, what? No. And this confirms that Denji is basically unaware of the events during Pochida's big fight with Makima, which also means that Denji doesn't know Riz was present, fighting against him under Makima's influence. And my guess is that he likely believes Riz didn't come to the bar because she was avoiding him. So, Denji is unaware that Makima tried to kill Riz when she tried to escape with him. And as well, it was possibly suggested that Riz doesn't remember the fight either, as Swordman's words in the last chapter could be interpreted as, I don't remember the fight I was in with you either, not exactly I don't remember you altogether. And if this is the case, then maybe we get some resolution to Denji and Riz's story. Maybe he will finally be able to tell Riz all of the things that he wanted to say to her, and vice versa, and clear the air, so to speak. That in of itself would be actually a great moment along with their reunion, but we shall see. Denji, thinking he's finally gotten away from this guy, is lured into a false sense of security because he transfers into Denji's class, his name being officially revealed for the first time as Mirisugo. Apparently, his hobbies are running and playing the piano, which is, just a really interesting set of hobbies to have. I love how the class reacts to him because Denji is perplexed. The girls of his class are like, oh my god, look at him, he's a hunk! Like a mashup of Denji and the student council president. This is so funny because not even a second later, Mirisugo shatters those girls' hearts by telling them all he's not here to be friends and to not talk to him because they're pieces of trash. But even still, this guy has tons of girls around him, massaging him and even asking everything they can about his hobbies. I mean, this is just pure hilarity. Mirisugo is absolutely ticked off by all of these girls too, not wanting any sort of attention from them, and is like, hey Denji, can you get rid of them for me? Which, as if Denji could do such a thing, he would love to be treated like that. And this really makes Denji angry because of that. And rightfully so. Denji has never had someone be so overbearing on him like some helicopter parent. This is when something really interesting happens, but also familiar too. Fumiko is using Denji as a chair to sit on, while telling Mirisugo to just tell him what he wants and why he's here. And I want to pay attention to the verbiage from Fumiko because it's interesting. Because she says she's a public safety dog, which means we can infer a few things from that line. The first one being that the public safety still maintains a similar structure after the Gun Devil and Control Devil. And there really probably isn't much change to any of the organization, just probably a rise of new faces. Mirisugo drops a bombshell when he says the weapons walk with Chainsaw Man Church, implying that all of the weapon users like Quan Chi, Sword Guy here, and Riz all left public safety to join the Chainsaw Man Church. So, the Church of Chainsaw Man, which I kind of thought was a little kooky and weird, and maybe they are, but maybe aren't actually the weird outcast bad guys I thought they were going to be. Mirisugo drops another bombshell that the Chainsaw Man Church is a community filled with people who can turn into devils, and that most of the leadership there are called the Weapons. Now, this could just be a Halo Infinite reference, but thinking about this, I think this is really weird. Because wouldn't Katana Man, as an example, hate Denji? I mean, he kinda already does, right? They killed Snake Lady, they killed his chance of ever having children, and as well, wouldn't Riz not want to be controlled anymore? Why go back into an organization even if they promise free will to work for themselves? Also, what about Quan Chi? Quan Chi seems like the type of gal to leave all of that behind and also work for herself, lone wolfing it. Obviously, we'll see in the next chapters what their reasons for or not if they appear, because, I could be right as well, and they may not be a part of the organization at all. We'll see though, but I would like to hear your thoughts and theories about this in the comments below. Do you really think that they're all in the Chainsaw Man Church? On top of that, if Denji joins, they promise him a pretty high position in the structure. Without even saying anything more, I feel like Denji would jump for this. He wants fame, and as well, it would make a lot of sense. He would get out from under public safety, he could come out as Chainsaw Man even if he wanted to, and have an organization to back him up while he soaks up all the fame. Hey, it makes total sense for Denji to do that. So, Fumiko, being herself, she thinks it's weird to not make Chainsaw Man the leader of the church. After all, it's his name on the church to begin with. But Mirisugo is like, hey, they pay well, all you have to do is take up a few jobs, and doing that you'll be paid and you can spend your money on whatever you want. He even has steak every day. Denji, of course, being poor, this gets a rise out of him, and Fumiko immediately just goes off into her own world about all the food she would eat every day that she would never get tired of. And this was sort of funny here, as Mirisugo calls them a bunch of idiots, as the food isn't the point in any of this. However, Mirisugo puts it straight to him. Just like Denji, he has spent his entire life being a tool for someone else's gain. And because of the Chainsaw Man Church, he is grateful for Denji every single day, as he gets to use his mind and body for him, for his own desires with no restrictions on freedoms. So because of that, he wants Denji to join this church, to save him from people like Fumiko, who will undoubtedly use him. It's a chance for Denji to break out and be himself, and Mirisugo will protect him. Fumiko, though, she muddies the waters. Says that if he's here to recruit Denji, then he must be taken advantage of too. And interestingly, he stammers when he says, I'm free, pause, I'm doing this of my own free will. Rather interesting way to phrase that, makes me think that Fumiko words have some hint of truth there, but could just be nothing. So Mirisugo points it out. Denji, being Chainsaw Man of all people, is a chair for a 22-year-old masquerading as a high schooler groomer. Denji, I think, missing the point entirely, states that butts feel good and that chairs are content in their ways. This shows that once again, Denji is stagnant right now and has gotten to a point where he's comfortable. But I think even though all of this is an improvement and he's comfortable and really isn't an ideal situation, but he doesn't know any better because he still can't eat steak, but he can eat ice cream and pot stickers and other tasty foods, but he's missing the point because he's comfortable. Think about it. Steak tastes better. Steak is more filling than ice cream and more nutritious. So he's not joining the Chainsaw Man Church. He's happy having this normal life, which is just what someone threatened him to do anyways. Denji is clearly at a point where I feel like he's just not realizing how much greener the grass can be. He's stuck in a rut and too comfortable. He's not shooting for the stars, he's shooting for his neighbor's yard. This response from Denji greatly disappoints Mirisugo, as he really did come all of this way to be friends with Denji because, after all, it was he who was the one who defeated Makima and freed him. So he's grateful to Denji for that and feels there is some connection there, and I don't blame him for being frustrated. He came all this way just for Denji to tell him he's settled for less and has given up. But here's the thing. Mirisugo still knows Denji, and upon leaving, states that by joining the church, he could sleep with any woman he wanted to, which is kind of actually the tipping point here. To make a deal, you gotta learn the language of the dealer, and Denji is the dealer here. So realizing this, Denji maybe literally actually probably maybe teleports to the stairwell and agrees to join, and he agrees he was right for being a tool and how he wants to sign up for the Chainsaw Man Church. So this teleporting thing, even Mirisugo asks if he teleported, so was this just done for comedy or did he actually teleport in the real world of Chainsaw Man? If that is the case, then is he going so fast you can't see him, or is he literally teleporting and transferring to a different location? If it's not just done for a joke and is a real ability, this is quite literally overpowered, but I suppose we'll cross that bridge if we ever get to it. Besides that, I do like how Denji finally woke up and realized how much of a tool he was for following the whims of what other people wanted and not what he truly wanted. It's a theme that keeps recurring throughout the entire series. And while it's funny to have Denji join because of the prospect of sleeping with women, we have to go a little deeper than that. If we remember, Denji told Asa straight up he lives to one day have sex. That's his one true desire, right? So if Denji is ditching another groomer to follow the prospect of sleeping with women, then he's actually doing the right thing here and following his dream. Not every single dream needs to be complicated or crazy. They can be simple things, and while sex is surely not something I think anyone in the real world would consider a real life goal of any kind, at least normal adults I don't think would, this is a manga, and this is as well Denji. He's now trying once again to take matters into his own hands, realizing his weakness and then growing from it to leave the era of only ever eating junk food and crap. Now, he's moved on to steak, which is a big improvement. I want to say thank you all for last week's video as we broke 6,000 views on it, got over like 200 likes and over 20 plus new subscribers, which is phenomenal. So if you're new, we cover Chainsaw Man whenever a new chapter comes out, so if that sounds interesting to you, then subscribe. We're also nearing 3,000 subscribers, so that would be huge if you could. As well, I want to give a shout out to my Discord, as I'd love to have more people join it. We're currently streaming Cyberpunk 2077, trying to 100% the game, and as well Phantom Liberty and Starfield when those games finally do come out, on top of the anime and manga chats we usually have. As well, if you're confused by it being called Sea Tactics Public Server, that's because that's actually my main channel where I do content on Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, and One Piece arc reviews. But besides all of that, thank you all for watching. If you haven't, check out my last video on Chainsaw Man and consider becoming a patron to financially support me and what I'm doing here on YouTube and beyond. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.